Right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Got a surprising amount of views on the last video, and in this one, we're going to talk about, M Bison Dictator being in Street Fighter 6 is a good deal, but there is like a caveat to that. It's a little bit disappointing, but what we've seen so far actually looks pretty good. But let's just go over that. So Street Fighter 6 continues to do well, but I do think there's a missed element of putting a M Bison Dictator worldwide in Street Fighter 6, an effort that Capcom has made in Street Fighter 5 and continues in Street Fighter 6, where they looked very hard at all the characters that were returning and made at least one major change, either visually in lore or in gameplay. Guile got a slight visual change in Street Fighter 5 and got his solid puncher special, which let him unleash booms with the press of a button. Hot Ryu and Chun are probably known quantities. Dalsum gained much more offensive capabilities, and Nash, formerly Charlie, had a name shift. I mean, he was always known as Nash, but that was just his last name, so Charlie Nash, but we're putting the Nash at the forefront. So that sort of brings us to the topic at hand. Not to go over it in excruciating detail, but some Street Fighter characters have had different names, as tended to happen when translation games globalization wasn't as strong as it was in the 90s as it is now. The difference between Akuma and Goki is minor, but there are three problem characters that you're going to see with this: Bison, Balrog, and Vega. They were eventually given the nicknames of Dictator, Bison, excuse me, I messed that up myself. Dictator, Boxer, and Claw, which I will use to avoid confusion. Boxer, originally known as M Bison in the Japanese versions of the game, it was undoubtedly based off Mike Tyson, Mike Bison, as was the style at the time, and also why he has so many moves, called Buffalo. As JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fans may be aware of, it's one thing to say and do that in Japan, but worldwide that could bring unwanted legal action against your game and property, so the names were changed. Boxer became Balrog, Claw, originally Balrog, became Vega, and Dictator, originally Vega, became M Bison, Master Bison. Funnily enough, I asked in a Discord not too long ago if modern players, the people that started with Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6, if they knew the difference between Claw, Boxer, Dictator, and most didn't. But of course, that doesn't really come into play with Street Fighter 6. And it technically is there in Street Fighter 5, but yeah. So it's not really a condemnation, but universal fighting game notation is becoming more of a thing, as it should. I went over on a previous video how if you pick up a random FPS, then you'll know the control scheme, you'll be able to play it, and probably, get a kill within a couple minutes. Where, 2x KO is being kind of weird about that, so yeah, I guess it could not apply there. We'll see. League and Riot are known for trying to get as many players as possible, so I'm not really sure why they made that weird tweet with basically English fighting game notation as opposed to universal fighting game notation. But this would have been another great step for Capcom to take, as they've chosen to put the Street Fighter, and my cam is going out, so that's not great. Let's see if we can make the cam. Let's see. Okay, so that's wonderful that my cam is just going to go in and out when it feels like it. But anyway, it would have been a great move for Dictator, is my point. So even in the game, this isn't a spoiler, it's in his initial trailers, Dictator has amnesia and chooses the name Bison. I feel like this is a missed opportunity for him to officially adopt the community title of Dictator, even if it seems he's moved past the whole dictating thing. Possibly, sorta, kind of. We don't know yet. We'll know tomorrow if you're watching this when the video airs. Secondly, I'm slightly disappointed with bringing Dictator back for story reasons. Prior to him being officially announced, the story of Street Fighter 6 seemed to be in a good, dare I say, interesting place, with Bison finally out of the picture. Yep, so that camera's just gonna go in and out. Got it. Seems like audio is still good. Let's see. But it's fine. We have the technology. Okay. Yep, there we go. But yeah, Dictator, for story reasons, prior to him being officially announced, the story of Street Fighter 6 seemed to be in a good, dare I say, interesting place with Dictator finally out of the picture. You know, the Alpha series was a prequel. Street Fighter 4 was kind of a prequel. I don't remember, and it doesn't really matter. Street Fighter 6 is truly, you know, moving forward and giving us something new. And in the story, Shadaloo isn't being ran anymore. This would give Street Fighter 6 the chance to, much like in many video game pieces of media, adjacent media in the current day, shed the milieu of the past. I personally would have loved it if Ed, who's been hinted at as the favorite to lead Shadaloo because the reluctant head, as the reluctant head of the organization, because there must always be a Lich King. This, of course, would cause each of the characters to, in the cast, to make a decision and really be an interesting inflection point in terms of Shadaloo. You know, someone like Cammy is probably going to say Shadaloo needs to be stopped no matter what, but who knows what Ryu would say. And also, you know, could there actually be a head of Shadaloo who is familiar with their cruelty and machinations and would be able to keep them on a tight leash? Is some rule and organization better than leaving the dangerous Shadaloo remnants such as Aki and the Dolls and Fung and the Zealots unchecked? You know, if the Joker dies and you have the Joker's gang, is it a good deal to have them organized, or should they simply be eliminated? It would. The way I saw it is, it would be Street Fighter's Captain America: Civil War, that movie, which is a really good movie and makes a lot of sense. Also has you examine each of the character, which, you know, in Tekken 8, for everything that it did well, people sort of complained that certain characters didn't get to do anything, and here each of the characters would have to pick a side. I did not play, I can't remember which Mortal Kombat it was, but it was one of the more recent ones where I think Chronica brought people from different timelines and they basically had to choose a side. So, you know, similar thing there. Would have given each of the characters a chance to sign, as opposed to in Tekken 8, where, again, I haven't played Tekken 8, so if this is false, don't come at me, don't at me, where, you know, Azucena doesn't really get to do much, Asuka doesn't really get to do much, but, you know, they would have had to at least make a decision, and most likely had a pretty cool fight as a result of a Captain America Civil War type of deal. But yeah, moving on. At first I thought the specter of Dictator and the persistent status quo of Street Fighter story would be signified by his return, but it does seem like Capcom was smart enough even to change Dictator not only in moveset, but also in appearance and demeanor. We see him not just using Psycho Power, but also Soul Power, and he seems to be almost a dark mirror of Ryu, which is slightly overplayed, but I mean, I will take that over him just becoming, you know, I'm evil incarnate and I like, you know, running Shadaloo, and those are my only defining character traits. Yeah, I mean, definitely more interesting than just, you know, somehow Dictator has returned a la Palpatine. While he's still a brutal fighter, he seems to be much more of a force of nature, which almost you can signify with him being a metaphorical horseman. You know, but it seems he's more that than someone who is malevolent or a card-carrying bad guy. You know, I'm glad he's not just Dictator once again. So who knows? The end result of this may just be him riding off in the sunset like Sagat before him. And it still could be an interesting story with this. But anyway, that's the end of the video. We have had a lot of viewers last time around, so thanks for that. And who knows, we may do more as time allows. Thanks for tuning in. My channel situation is kind of weird because I did have alternate channels that you're supposed to do with the setup YouTube has us on, where you want to maximize SEO and you don't want all your videos on one channel, but YouTube decided to close all of my alternate channels, so we're just dealing with this one for now. Thanks for tuning in, folks. You can find me at Raisin B Man nearly everywhere.